So Infinity War has been out in theatres for 5 days and has broken numerous box office records. I personally have already seen it twice and loved both times enormously. The first time, I'm not ashamed to say, I had a massive smile on my face the whole way through and felt like a kid in a candy shop, just sitting through and watching all of this film. So I've already done my spoiler-free review of the film, and in this video I'm just going to go to spoilers. I'm just going to sort of freestyle my talking and just basically talk about what happened and what I think will happen in future films. So let's just jump in. So we open with this film on Thor's ship from Thor Ragnarok. So we knew at the end of Ragnarok Thanos was actually going to get on to Thor's ship. Thanos already has the Power Stone. It's later said by Thor that he's decimated the planet Xandar in retrieving the stone. We get our first look at the Black Order. I really enjoyed Ebony Moore's monologue whilst he walks through the ship telling everyone that they are now children of Thanos and they will find their salvation, and I just really loved that character. I loved his fights with Doctor Strange. I just loved all his monologues. I loved the English accent. It sounded brilliant. It was just a shame he had to die. It was a shame that actually all the Black Order had to die and we didn't actually see much of them. So we also see Hulk fight Thanos, which was just an incredible scene to watch. It was just amazing to see those two go toe to toe. Thanos just easily brushes him aside because of course he should. He's got the Power Stone. He's Thanos. He's stronger than Hulk and he's a better fighter than the Hulk. So that was a great scene to see. I absolutely loved it. So one thing I was incredibly surprised by was the amount of Doctor Strange we saw in this film. It's quite a Doctor Strange heavy film. He's probably the third most used character after Thanos and Thor. So we see obviously Doctor Strange is guarding the Time Stone and he looks into the future and finds out that out of 14 million possibilities they managed to win one. And part of this way that they win has obviously something to do with Tony Stark. So my theory is we could be seeing Tony Stark wield the Infinity Gauntlet in Avengers 4 and actually turn back with what's happened. But if he's going to wield the Soul Stone, he needs to lose someone he loves. So who's he going to sacrifice that he loves? So I don't know, that could be someone like Pepper Potts. That's kind of really the only person we know that he loves, but that might be quite a dark way for Avengers 4 to go, that he has to sacrifice Pepper. I love Tony Stark's and Doctor Strange's interactions. I felt they got on how they should have got on. You know, they're quite similar personalities, so they should clash quite a lot, and they did in the film. They had some great moments. Spider-Man mixed in there, it made for a fantastic dynamic. And then when the Guardians showed up, it was just a great dynamic to see all these characters together, and they reacted the way I felt they would, so it was really cool to see. Let's talk more a bit about deaths. So I felt Gamora's death was very emotionally impactful, and I think what was amazing the Russos managed to do was actually feel for Thanos. That was the person I felt for, because he was losing someone he truly loved, and I got that sense he actually loved her. Despite her betraying him, he understood why she betrayed him, but he still loved her all the same. So Gamora has found the map to the Soul Stone. So the Soul Stone is sitting in kind of its own dimension, if you will. So to get the Soul Stone, you actually have to sacrifice a soul that you love and care for. Now the biggest surprise, and I couldn't believe they showed up, was seeing Red Skull, this time played by Ross Marquand, I believe his name is, Aaron from The Walking Dead, who played the Red Skull fantastically. Obviously last time we saw the Red Skull, he was in the first Avenger and he was fired off into space by the Tesseract. He now guards the Soul Stone and acts kind of like Lady Death with his cape. It was very reminiscent of this character. It was interesting to see what they did with the Soul Stone. Obviously all my theories were wrong where it might be, but it was really nice to be surprised, and it was a cool idea of where the Soul Stone actually was. We got to learn more about Thanos. We learned obviously he loves Gamora dearly, and he feels a lot of remorse and pain losing Gamora. So I have to talk about Peter Dinklage's character. I absolutely love Peter Dinklage's role in this film. I predicted that Peter Dinklage would probably have a fairly small but important role, which of course he did. He forges Thor's new weapon, Stormbreaker, and it was just really cool to see him as a giant guy but yet a dwarf, and I felt he had probably one of the best lines in the film. We also find out Stormbreaker can control the Bifrost in the same way Heimdall managed to control it, and that scene where Thor gets the hammer. He then transports Thor, Groot and Rocket onto Earth, and he's standing there. He's got the whole costume on. He looks great. He's got Groot and Rocket right next to him, and he just looks ready for action, and he just takes out all of Thanos' army, and he gets a chat with Steve Rogers, and it was a cool line, you know, "Oh, I see you've copied my beard," and then he points to Groot and says, "The tree's my friend," and Steve Rogers looks very confused, very perplexed by this tree, who says, "I am Groot," the classic line, and Steve Rogers responds a bit confused with, "I am Steve Rogers." That was definitely the best part of the film. So I know I've been talking a lot about what I loved about this film and how much I enjoyed it. Obviously no film is perfect, and it took me a while, but I thought of maybe one or so things didn't enjoy as much, but they're so minor with this film that I can't fault it that much. But when watching the second time, I did feel the length a little bit more. I was, just wanting to get to the next scene. The film doesn't really stop that much, but it can just drag that little bit, and you're going, actually, I want to see what Tony Stark's up to right now, or what Captain America is up to. And it just maybe a bit touch too long, and probably I didn't see enough of my favourite character, Captain America, but I understand why I didn't see much of him, and it's such a minor, negative on the film that it doesn't really change the way I think about the film that much. So obviously we've got to get into the finale of this film, the cliffhanger. So at the end, Thanos manages to grab all 6 Infinity Stones. So it's not really touched much upon in this film, but once you have all 6 Infinity Stones, they actually harness each stone's power. So once Thanos collects all 6 Infinity Stones, as he said earlier in the film, snap of his fingers, he can wipe out half the universe. And we see Thor throw his axe into Thanos' chest, and it looks like he's just won. And he says, "You should have went for the head." And he raises the gauntlet, snaps his fingers, and then suddenly we see people all across the universe begin to turn to dust. And the characters they killed were such a surprise. It was amazing. It was all the new characters. All the Phase 1 Avengers survived, and a few Phase 2 characters such as Rocket. But Black Panther died, Bucky Barnes died, Sam Wilson, all the Guardians except for Rocket. And the one that gave me tears in my eyes, it just got me so emotional, was when Tom Holland's Spider-Man began to drift to dust, and he's pretty much begging for his life to Tony. He says, "I don't feel too good, I don't want to go, I don't want to go," and then off he goes. He drifts to dust, and we see how much this hurts Tony, as he does feel responsible for Spider-Man. It was a real hard-hitting scene, and it was such a surprise. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I had my hand on my mouth. I was just shocked. So we see in the ending, Thanos, he is actually limping. I noticed this in my second watching. He hasn't actually recovered from his injuries. He's got a little limp, and he sits down and he watches the sunset like he said he wanted to Doctor Strange. And we actually see his arm is quite badly burnt, and the gauntlet has melted a bit. So that obviously took a big strain on Thanos, and we may see in Avengers 4 that he's actually a lot weaker. I'm not sure how this will play out, and I'm not sure if the gauntlet will work as well as it did in Infinity War. But we know it still works, as he does actually teleport away when he destroys half the universe. So everyone's been saying, how are they going to bring these characters back? Because obviously Black Panther has another film coming out. Spider-Man has another film coming out. Surely these characters must be coming back. Now, here is my theory how they're going to bring them back. So we see Thanos in the Soul World. What I think has happened is the souls are now trapped within the Soul Stone, and it's going to take someone to wield the stone, go into the Soul World, and bring the souls back. But I reckon a few might not make it. I think probably Sam Wilson won't come back, just due to there's not much to go of his character now, so he'll probably not come back for future films. I'm not sure. Anthony Mackie has said he's signed on for a lot of films, so we don't know, but that is how they're probably going to bring these characters back, by just basically pulling them out of the Soul World. But for now, they are dead. They are definitely dead, and people are saying that the stakes in this film are not as big because we know these characters coming back. I think Marvel may throw in some curveballs and not actually bring some of these new characters back. I think some of them may just stay dead, but I think we know for definite Loki's dead, Heimdall is dead, Vision is dead. I'm not sure about Gamora because she did die near the Soul World, so maybe she's trapped in there, but Vision, Loki, Heimdall, definitely dead. So there was my spoiler review. I know it wasn't a review of the actual film as such. It was more talking through little points of the film and what I thought. So hopefully I'll be doing a lot more videos this week. I'll talk a bit more about Infinity War, more in depth at certain parts, as I've got a lot of things to say about the film. And yeah, so please just keep watching if you're enjoying this, and subscribe if you like the videos, and as I said, like the videos as well. So thank you very much.